In this video, I'm going to explain how I generated over $100 million in sales while being on up to 9 offers at the exact same time. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, this guy on YouTube doesn't even have 1,000 subs, saying he's closed on 9 different offers at once. I'd never even heard of anybody doing that. And he says he's closed over $100 million in sales in like 3 years at this point. Yeah, that definitely sounds like a scam. And I know that sounds absolutely insane, and most people think it's impossible. The question is, do you want to be like most people? Like, how do you even take that many calls, let alone close, whatever, right? But I'm gonna walk you through exactly how I pulled it off, how I managed my time, and more importantly, how you can know if and when that you should start stacking multiple offers so that you can scale your commissions like I did without burning yourself out. Because let's be real, I did burn out a couple of times, and I kind of had to restart a couple of times. And so I just want to help you avoid that. So if you'd like to, keep watching. All right, now before I get into everything, hi. My name is Christian Jack. If you don't know me, if you haven't been here before, I've been in the high ticket sales space since 2021 and have since transitioned into other various spaces like software and insurance. And during that time, I've generated over $100 million in total revenue across those various verticals, different industries, categories, etc., selling anything and everything in between. And it didn't start like that, unfortunately. When I first got into sales, I was actually a high school teacher's aide making $1,200 a month, and I had zero clue what I was doing in sales. No sales experience, never really been much of a people person. And so I got my first offer, but I was just kind of trying to figure things out, right? All the scripts, all the tonality, all the frameworks, all of it. And so in this video, I'm gonna break down exactly why I stacked offers and why I learned the things that I did, how I managed my time, and how you can too if you're ready. So let's go back in time for a second. Once upon a time, I was selling on one offer and I was crushing it, right? I had taken a bunch of sales training. I'd gotten really good. I had set the standards for myself and I was making 10, 15, 20K a month on that one offer. But then all of a sudden, if you've been in sales any amount of time, you've probably experienced this. The marketing went down and all the calls that were on the calendar just dried up. And all of a sudden, I didn't really have as much money in my bank account as I was expecting and that I wanted to have because I wasn't ready for that. And because of that, I immediately kind of got into the mode of trying to figure out how I can make more money more quickly. And at this point in time, like, selling on multiple offers definitely wasn't the most popular thing to do. It wasn't as kind of well heard of. And so I basically met somebody that was doing it and I was like, holy shit, this is something that can be done. And so I just started doing it. And so I stacked from 1 offer to 2 offers and I learned how to do that. And then I stacked another one, learned how to do that. And basically just kept stacking and stacking as many as I could and figuring out the systems along the way and burning out in the process a couple of times and then restarting and doing it again until I got all the way up to 9 offers at once. And so here's a question that you might have, like, why was I even doing that in the first place? It wasn't like some just random flex. I was trying to say that I worked on a bunch of different offers. It was extremely strategic. All right, let me tell you the story of a hypothetical salesperson. They're decent at sale, right? They're on a decent offer with decent marketing, decent leads, making decent money. And then out of nowhere, the ad account gets shut down. All of that decent marketing and those decent leads, gone. All of that decent money that they're making, also gone. Sound familiar? I can't tell you how many times that I personally experienced that. And every single time, my bills were then dictated by external events and how I was going to actually pay them. Now, I personally didn't like that. And if you're anything like me, you probably don't either. Now, that's why I started stacking offers in order to essentially diversify my income. If one offer goes down and it's my only one, there goes 100% of my income. But if it goes down and it's only 30% of my income, then I only lose 30% of my income. Plus, on top of that, I can probably just put more time and effort and energy into, and calendar space into the other offers that I'm working on and just make more from those while this one sorts its shit out. Then I don't have to leave offers when they go down. I can just reallocate my time accordingly, which means that I get better at selling certain offers because I don't have to offer hop. I maintain a great reputation in the space and I always have a job if I ever decide to leave. And on top of all of that, I have peace of mind all the while because I set myself up for success. And I have that consistency. I know that I'm always going to be able to make money if I need to. Now, I was stacking offers because I wanted to maximize not just my time, but the quality of my time, right? If I was going to spend 6, 8, 10, 12, all the way up until I worked all the way through a couple of days, a couple of times, like just not even sleeping at all. I wanted every single one of those calls that was on my calendar to be high intent, high urgency, high leverage, high qualification, right? And in reality, a lot of offers just don't have consistent lead flow. And you'll have one offer where you're taking 5 calls a day, and then the next week, maybe you're down to 2 a day. And so then rather than just sitting around waiting, or rather than sitting around and outbounding, and like, yes, you can fill your time on that offer, I chose to build a system where I was always fully loaded with as much opportunity as I wanted to take. But here's the key. I wasn't taking garbage leads, right? These were quality offers with quality setters feeding me qualified, prepped buyers. That's the only way that this works. Now, here's how I actually manage my time while doing it. And this is really where most people just completely flunk out of the system, because they think that, being on 3 or more offers means juggling a chaotic calendar, switching gears every 30 minutes. But in reality, it comes down to rigid time blocking, mastering the use of a CRM, and understanding a full business mentality of where you can pull leads from, which ones are the hottest, the most urgent, etc. But then also mental clarity, all right? I did a couple of things. I color-coded my calendar by offer. I had a specific system I'm gonna go through in a second for how to do that. Every offer had a slightly different pre-call prep and checklist and note system, so I had to master that as well. I also built just a quick reference stop for each offer's different pitch points, pricing, guarantees, objections, etc. that I could always reference, and I completely treated my day like an actual performance schedule, right? As a professional athlete in sales, if you will. This is my job, this is my life. I spend enough time doing it, so that meant no context switching while I was in the sprint seasons. Now, with this system, realistically, when one offer went through a rut, right? Marketing account got shut down, maybe the manager changed and the new one just sucked, whatever. I would just reallocate my time to the account that produced more per hour in terms of income for myself. Then, when that one went down and the original went back up, then I would just do it again and switch back over. Now, there's one caveat to this whole system that I need to say before really going through it. You have to be so good at sales. And like, even if you are, some managers and some owners still won't even hire you. But there's enough that will, that you don't really have to worry about it too much. But if you're only taking, let's just say 3 calls per week on an offer because their lead flow is down and because you're taking calls for 8 other offers, right? You better be able to close all 3 of those calls, because like, what's the point of having you on the team taking up expenses with software, CRMs, tools, the mental space and like the energy of the owner or the manager, and even like just taking up a bit of the culture from the rest of the team because you're half in, half out. Right? You got to offset all of those negative factors on why somebody wouldn't hire you onto the team, even when you're going to take only 3 calls a week, with the different positive factors as to why they would. Skill sets, not needing any sort of babysitting, and just overall being an enjoyable person to work with instead of just being a shithead and being a total headache. Now, if you want to learn how to actually become that person, up-level your skill set, not be a headache, know exactly what you need to be doing day to day so your manager isn't on your ass, I've done it, and I teach people to do it every day inside the Sales Dojo. The last sales training you'll ever need. The link is down to join in the description for free. Now, in addition to all of this, obviously I was very structured, I was rigid in my system, but when things really started to take off, when I was selling on, 4 or 5 offers, I didn't have an assistant, and then that's really where I finally got one. And like, I had an assistant to help me do everything that wasn't me being on a call talking to somebody. At one point, I even had 2 assistants that were helping me. And so that means call confirmations. It means qualifying leads before the call. It means no-shows, cancellations, reschedules, like just texting those people and emailing them to get them back on the calendar. It means following up with no sales. It means the logistics follow-ups where people just need to like get money together. It means checking in with referrals. It means end-of-day admin work, Slack messages with the manager and with the team meeting recap notes, offer updates, literally everything. Now, this ensured that I was on a call with someone who had money, they had intent, and at least a hint of urgency at all hours of the day. I then worked for anywhere between, I think the lowest I ever did in this real season was like, obviously some days I would take off, but like a full work day would be, maybe 8 hours at the lowest, all the way up until 18 hours. Some days, again, I just worked through the entire day completely and didn't even sleep. So every one of those hours, I was actually taking 30-minute calls. So it didn't start like that, right? I started at hour-long calls, 60 minutes. Don't get your panties in a bunch. But as I got better, my average call time dropped to, I was averaging about 28 and a half minutes per call with objections and with closing the deal and getting everything across the line, doc signed, all that kind of good stuff, which means that my assistant had basically just started to schedule calls on every half hour instead of every hour. Now on calendar syncing, this is a good topic, and like scheduling across the different offers to make sure that I didn't get double booked for anything, but then also I wasn't like sharing information between the offers and didn't get into like any sort of legal troubles with that. I used a tool called Reclaim, all right? I'll link it down in the description for you. Absolute lifesaver, and I still use it to this day to sync all my calendars. Last but not least, this will definitely piss off some of the weak-ass simp sales managers, but I never attended team meetings, all right? I made that a stipulation for coming onto the team. Now, there were the occasional teams where I actually wanted to learn from the best managers in the space because I wanted to be able to have that skill to then go and manage teams in the future, which I did a ton of. And I actually don't anymore. I taught some of the best sales managers in the space. I don't really enjoy sales management much anymore, so I just don't really do it. I don't work with teams. Long story. But basically, there was the occasional manager where I really wanted to learn from them, so I would attend those meetings. But any offers where that wasn't the case, I actually just didn't join the team meetings at all. And the reason I was able to do that was because I sold them on why, right? Which was I would make them more money on calls than on the team meeting, right? By a lot. And I had proof in order to back it up. Now, lastly, I spent a disproportionate amount of time on referrals, not just because they're easier sales, but also because they'll spend more and they'll spend it more quickly. And I always negotiated a little bit of extra commission percentages on those deals because the marketing spend went down to $0 for those leads for the owner. And so I would usually get anywhere from like an extra 5 to 15% commissions on those deals, even above my already higher negotiated commission percentage to come on the team in the first place. Now, with that in mind, like you tell me, if I told you that you could make an extra 10% on leads that were already going to be easier to sell, you could sell them higher level packages, and they would buy more quickly than the other leads, would you spend more time on referrals? If not, just do yourself a favor and get out of sales now, because holy shit. Now, just one bonus pro tip that I found across the years of doing this is find yourself a quality setter who you can take with you, all right? They'll come with you to various offers throughout your career because you have a relationship and they trust that you're going to close their sets above how much trust they have to some rando whenever they join a new team, right? Some rando closer on any offers that they join. But also, they will help you find offers that you didn't know about, and they will bring you along. So you'll know each other so well, they'll be able to help you pre-frame things that you want, get you the best and most compatible leads, and like so much more. But here's the trick, right? You have to find a solid setter who has a 90% plus show rate and who actually protects your calendar and works hard like you do to keep it full. And so if you don't have one of those, again, link down in the description for the Sales Dojo. You'll find multiple in there as soon as you join. So with this in mind, should you stack another offer? And if so, when and how? Here's what most people do wrong, all right? They stack too early and for the wrong reasons. If your current offer has low lead flow, if they send unqualified leads, or if it's just a weak offer or like weak fulfillment problem, then perhaps I would look at just leaving that offer, not even stacking on top of it, but only after asking yourself, can you squeeze more out of what you already have, right? Because you already know the offer, you've already been selling it, like you already know the systems, you already know the processes, the manager already knows you, clearly trusts you enough to have you on the offer. So like, can you squeeze more from the lemon, all right? So are you following up on no-shows? Are you leveraging rebooking those people? Are you hitting your pipeline and your past leads? Are you getting referrals? And if you're already squeezing all of that and you still have white space on your calendar, then maybe it's time to stack. And when you do, here's how to do it right. When you have the conversation with a manager, when you're interviewing, you need to be 100% transparent with the new offer. Do not lie about this. Do not say you're going to be full-time if you're not. That is terrible, right? I'm never going to recommend to you ever that you lie about anything, not just for your reputation with other people, but your reputation with yourself in your own head, in your heart, right? It's just bad. Now, the second thing is pick offers that don't completely just eat up all of your energy, right? You want to look at offers that are in similar industries. You want to look at similar price points, similar prospect avatars, similar customers that you're going to be talking to, similar things as much as possible, because then you don't have to do a ton of context switching in your brain. You don't have to go from, selling to an investor to selling to somebody who's been overweight for the past 30 years and they work at, the grocery store or something. Like, nothing against those people, but they're completely different types of people. And so if one call you're selling to one and then one call you're selling to the other, unless you're really good at sales and you're actually able to switch gears that quickly, which just comes from time and energy and focus and just doing that for a long time like I did, then you're going to be shooting yourself in the foot. So try to find similar offers, right? If you're selling on a BizOp offer, try to find other BizOp offers. If you're selling on an investment offer, maybe try to find other investment offers. If you're selling on health and fitness offers, maybe try to find other ones. And until you get really good at that sale and you can go multiple offers selling that one thing, I wouldn't recommend really adding any other offers that are not that. Once you get consistent with it, sure, add other offers, one at a time, and then you'll be able to learn how to context switch a little bit more quickly. Number 3 is make sure that they have setters that you can rely on, and if they don't, bring your own. If you're a closer and you're a really good one, like, you should just be an inbound closer. Most people aren't actually really good. They just think that they're good because they've always been fed warm leads. And so if you are actually good, then you can handle leads that are a little bit colder. And so all you need are just setters that can consistently fill you up with people who at least have some intent, they have some level of urgency, and they are financially qualified to buy whatever it is that you're selling, right? The last thing that I would say, just as an overall stipulation, is stack these slowly, all right? Don't go from 1 offer to 5 offers overnight just because you saw some crazy YouTuber telling you to do it, right? I'm telling you not to do it, to be clear. But stacking is an incredible thing that you can do, but only if you've built the right foundation. And so if you're still struggling to close, stacking offers is not going to fix that. It's just going to expose it faster. And it'll also just tank your reputation in the space when you suck on every offer that you join much more quickly, because you're now spreading the word 2 to 5 times faster. So if you're serious about becoming a top 1% closer, if you want to understand how to master objection handling and stacking offers the right way, building real income and real career in sales, I built a training program called the Sales Dojo. Right now you can try it out for free for 7 days, and after that it's only $172 per month. And honestly, I've purchased pretty much every sales training program out there. This is the best one on the planet for closers and setters who want to scale fast and do it properly. First link in the description to join. I'll see you there.